Black again with the general. Y'all already know what time it is, man. I wanted to tap back in on Oprah Winfrey's humiliation ritual of not just only Whitney Houston, but Michael Jackson. Hold on, family. Not only Whitney Houston, but Michael Jackson. You see, humiliate, and you know where Michael Jackson invited uh, her into his home. You know, do an interview, and gets in there, and get a lifetime. You know, Michael Jackson wasn't even doing no damn interview, and he gave her the interview of a lifetime, and soon as the man passed, she gave access to his so-called, the adversaries that was, saying that Michael Jackson did this, did that, but they never said it while he was alive. Never said it while he was alive. They waited, and see, this is what happens is they never do this shit when the person is alive. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson. Now, it's a couple that she did try. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's it? Dave Chappelle. Where she brought him on there and made him look like he was kind of crazy. Like, you fled, went to Africa, nobody knew where you was and shit, and you quit this damn show and, at the height of your popularity. And why would you do Black Power to my family? Why would you do something like that? Was you on drugs? And so she wants to destroy black elite, music, Hollywood actors. That's what I've never seen her support no damn body. But it's a cabal. But her, Quincy Jones, her, I think that guy Sidney Poitier. You know what I'm saying? And she always fucking with what's that motherfucker out of Atlanta? Medea, what's his name? Tyler Ferry. Yeah, he in there too. He in there too. Tyler Ferry and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And but I believe, see, Tyler Ferry is up there too. He one of them ones. That's a gatekeeper with Oprah Winfrey. You see, yeah, you seen how, right after he went, and played that, like he was preaching on, what's that fat boy, that preacher, TD Snakes, excuse me, TD Jakes. And remember, Tyler Ferry came out there and acted like he was laying hands on TD Jakes, TD Snakes. And it wasn't long after that, you know what I'm saying? They got rid of his ass. Yeah, they went, you in there with Diddy, you in there with, Oprah and why they ain't never came to the aid of TD Snakes. No, they ain't came. That was his humiliation ritual. They set him up too, sent him all up in there with Diddy and shit, and they knocked both of them niggas off. You know what I'm saying? They got rid of a whole that just show you, because when you think about that vampire mentality, it be the oldest vampires. You feel me? That's why when you look at the politics, they don't relinquish no power. They take that shit to the grave. They even write it in their estate. How they want shit to go. Even in their estate, to where, man, shit, 3, 4 generations, you can't even inherit the damn money if you don't adhere to what the original, the whoever it was, the great grandfather, you don't adhere to the rules of the estate. The houses, all of that shit, it belonged to the estate. And so they could control into the future generations. You know what I'm saying? To, where, you could be ousted by a dead man or a dead woman based on, how they, write up their estate, the laws and, of the estate. Man, they can rule into the future. They can rule into the goddamn future. You see? But Oprah Winfrey, she's just treacherous, man. She's treacherous, and she ain't brought up no Jeffrey Epstein. She ain't brought up John of God. She ain't brought up Harvey Weinstein, who she ran with. And I did many videos. You could go up there and see the videos I done did on the Illuminati. The Black Illuminati, and she got so many pictures where she hugged up with Harvey Weinstein. And he's pillaging the actresses and probably the actors. You see Jay-Z, Nas, Puffy, all of them was hugged up with Harvey Weinstein. He ain't nothing, he was like Clive Davis. He was just like Clive Davis of Hollywood. Shit, you couldn't do shit in Hollywood without Harvey Weinstein. You know what I'm saying? So he was a true gatekeeper, but they took his ass down. You know what I'm saying? They took him down. He did something that he ought not have did. You know what I'm saying? Even for a boss. They got even rules for boss motherfuckers that because you got other bosses up there. You know what I'm saying? And so he done went so far to the other bosses wanted his ass ousted. He did something he had no business doing. It wasn't the pillaging of them actresses or, because all of them doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? That's just like, and and everybody know that shit too. It ain't like nobody comes in and unaware of that. You know what I'm saying? When they step into that arena, all of them are, because they see it, how it's operating, And if they gonna get in, they gotta get in where they fucking fit in, and they gonna bow. Some of them don't bow, but some of them do bow, and most of them bow. Most of them bow. Sooner or later, they bow. But for Oprah Winfrey to, for her to come out and throw Whitney Houston under the bus after so many years, unnecessary. But it's not ironic that she would do that around the same time that Clive Davis is passing. Yeah, and she don't. And another thing, that's why, another thing, what I was talking about, that cabal, Whitney, not Whitney, but Oprah Winfrey and Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones wasn't fucking with, Michael Jackson wasn't fucking with Quincy Jones because Quincy Jones was trying to pretend like, he had more to do with the success of Michael Jackson than a lot of people would believe. So he was trying to take credit for some songs that belonged to Michael Jackson. I believe off of that Thriller album and shit, a lot of that shit was Michael Jackson that wrote that shit, the music, and a lot of that shit was Michael Jackson. You see what I'm saying? And Quincy Jones tried to take credit for some of that shit. And that's when Michael Jackson quit fucking with Quincy Jones. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Tupac said some shit about his ass too. So, but Oprah Winfrey and Quincy Jones is like this, and they say that motherfucker, Sidney Poitier, all of them motherfuckers was like in a clique. Cause what's the name talked about it? Uh, 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 Dave Chappelle. Yeah, Dave Chappelle talked about, that he came in the room and they was in the fucking room and all of this shit. You know what I'm saying? So and so, for Quincy Jones, I believe she was why she did Michael Jackson the way because of her connection with fucking Quincy Jones. I do believe that. You know what I'm saying? I do believe that. Because Michael Jackson wasn't fucking with Quincy Jones and shit. But that motherfucker, yeah, Quincy Jones is a black Bram Stoker. He's another black Bram Stoker, and so she most definitely has tried to embarrass and pretend like you. And then the thing is, when she told the story, she said she wanted to keep it on the hush to preserve Whitney's, because her reputation and shit, her reputation and shit. But yet and still, you release the information any motherfucking way. Why would you try to destroy her legacy and shit? Even if people fall down, people fall down, real talk, addictions and shit like that. But you have to give people opportunity to get back up on their motherfucking feet. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like she started out as a damn crackhead, and I ain't saying that's what she was. And obviously at some point in time, her and Bobby Brown was on something. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, a lot of them on something. A lot of them on something. Real talk. Whitney and them was out front, and Bobby, they was out in the front with they shit. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of them motherfuckers that, up there, them white boys and white girls sniffing like a motherfucker, doing all type of dope. And we know this shit, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the fact that she would throw Whitney under the bus and shit, and there's so many of them damn, white actresses and shit and white boys up there, she no sniffing, no dope fiend. No, they dope fiends. But you ain't, and you ain't said nothing about Jeffrey Epstein. You was up there, wasn't Oprah up there on the, up there, over there on the island. I believe she was on the island. She was fucking with Jeffrey Epstein, Weinstein, John. She didn't fuck with a whole lot of treacherous motherfuckers. She ain't never said nothing about. You feel me? But she, boy, I tell you, but hey, man, she is what she is at this point. People gotta quit, being surprised at what she, she do. She came out, people thought she was trying to be uplifting. You know what I'm saying? But that's to the black community. And I have not seen nowhere, and she ain't talked about that goddamn school over there in South Africa too. All that shit went on. Had peoples up there getting molested at that school in South Africa. Their babies and shit was being found on ground. Some girls have aborted babies up there at the school and shit. All this shit was on her watch. She swept that shit up. Yeah, she swept all that shit under the rug. But anyway, family, click that link right down that video description. Get over there, Patreon. I got some too raw for YouTube material over there. I've been pressuring YouTube this last month, and they crying and shit. So I had to take a lot of material, put it on Patreon. Most definitely, it's hitting too hard. Get over there to my Etsy store, General SETI One Stop. Get them classic lectures, DVDs. That's a hard copy in today's world where everything is being edited. You want that classic material. You see a lot of people's coming back out with the vinyl. They're coming back out with the CDs and so on because it's a better quality. So get out there, check it out. Link right down in the video description, and I'll be right back. Black power.